Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Power of Your Mind podcast. You're listening to episode 256, Consistency Creates Magic, Law of Attraction. I'm Jim Kellner, comedy hypnotist. I'm here co-hosting for the #1 best-selling author of The Practical Law of Attraction. She's also the author of The Ultimate Weight Loss Power, How to Manifest Your Soulmate, and the founder of HipTalk.com and HypnoCloud Apps, the premier online destination for hypnosis recordings. Now, with over 500 recordings to choose from, HypnoCloud provides solutions for people from really all walks of life. There's guided meditations, affirmations, hypnotherapy, all of them to help you with the law of attraction, manifestation, business success, stress, anxiety, sleep issues, and so much more. So be sure and download it today from the app stores. The goal of this show is to inspire you to dream big and live your best life. Every week, we discuss how to use manifesting, affirmations, meditation, and hypnosis to help people to create the life of their dreams. So if you're ready to start manifesting your best life, join us and let us help you tap into the power of your mind. Everyone give it up for Victoria Gallagher.
This time, let's kick it up to standing ovations. I want everybody on your feet.
Exactly. She's used to it now, right? She's used to
right?
it.
Come on, we got to be consistent here.
That's right. Yeah, she got in case you have forgotten, because we're going to be this will be airing a little bit later. Victoria got her first standing ovation and did a keynote speech for the ICBCH, right? Is it?
Yes. And I want you to know I used the law of attraction for that. So I mean, so here's the way I believe that works, because when I went there, so I practice and practice and practice, my keynote, and it was never going to come off like I was going to memorize every single word. I wanted to memorize like the first few sentences, which actually changed once I got to Florida, because as soon as I got to Florida, a couple things happened. There were the opening keynotes. And so I wanted to acknowledge a few of the talks and the opening keynotes and the theme, and which I didn't know about until I got there. You know what I mean? So I had to like have the awareness and wherewithal that I was going to be able to implant those things at the beginning. And then the other thing was, I had a conversation with one of my colleagues, and I kind of told her, and she was a keynote at one point, and so I told her, about, and she's like, well, you need to do this, you need to do this. So she gave me a few little last minute pointers. So a lot of things kind of got rearranged before I actually stood up there 3 days later. But I said, you know what? I'm going to trust my subconscious mind to know, to have all the right words available. It's just like, and I chunked it down, and I had like, this is my opening. These are my 3 stories. Then it's going to be like kind of a series of other like little points. Then there's going to be the my believe acronym, and then there's going to be the closing, right? So it was pretty easy to kind of chunk it down, because it's like I knew all these things. It's just like sometimes for me, I have a tendency to want to say things in a way that I don't know. I just have you ever like you just want to say it this way, but it never comes out that way. And what I kind of realized about that is like, well, the way that it does come out, that's Victoria. And that's what people are there to see. They're not there to see the genius that I think I am when I'm writing the speech. You know what I mean?
Wow. Good insight. Yeah, good insight.
And, so that's one thing. But then the other thing is I used visualization, and I knew that I couldn't see any other way that this would end, other than in people standing up at the end and giving me a standing ovation. Like that was the only thing. Like it was so natural. Like I ended and up they go. I ended and up they
Wow.
go. And I ended
Nice.
and up they go. And I
I'm gonna
could
do
not
that.
see it any other way. And so when
Yeah.
it's not that they did that because I visualized it. They gave it because I visualized it, and that I visualized it. It made me say the things in the right way to make that that happen. And even after I got the standing ovation, and even after 50 people came up to me over the weekend to say, "Oh, that was great, it was so inspiring," blah blah blah, all of that, there was still a little doubt in my mind as to whether I actually did a great job. So I actually,
Wow.
had to see it for myself. Like, Jason sent the video right away. Thank you so much, Jason, if you're listening. Because I got the video right away and sat down with my mom. I don't know where that came from. Not my mom, my husband.
Mhm.
Totally different people. And I sat down and we watched it together, and we're it was good. We
Awesome. Awesome.
laughed, we cried. It was awesome. And I talk about this with you guys only just to really emphasize how visualization actually works. Because when you see and you feel yourself in the result that you want to have happen, and the only reason why they were going to stand up is because I did my job, and my job was to inspire them. That was it. And so I just wanted people to be inspired. And so what does that look like for you? What in your life? What is the goal? What does it feel like? And what does it look like? And then, literally just get that. It was literally I'm probably saying literally way too many times, but it was
Mhm.
5 seconds over and over and over again. So what does that 5 seconds for you look like
Mm.
when you have achieved whatever it is that final moment when you've stepped into your moment of greatness, and just make it so real that it can't go any other way than that. That's all I have to say.
Great advice. Great advice. And it seems like, we're talking about law of attraction, and I think it's helpful every once in a while during the episodes, we take a step back, and just for folks that are tuning in maybe for the first time or that need a reminder, can you just tell us what is the law of attraction and how does it work?
Yeah, I thought I'd just take a moment during this episode, even though the
Yeah.
people who have been listening to this, they've heard us talk about manifesting and law of attraction. But for those who maybe you just want a refresher, you're listening for the first time, you don't know what this law of attraction is or how it works. Essentially, it is all about a predominant way of thinking, feeling, believing, and acting that causes us to attract into our lives whatever it is that we are thinking, feeling, and believing about. And it ultimately is it's a powerful force. It's, to me, it's like the power of believing in yourself. Your thinking influences your feelings influence your believing, and your believing influences what you take action on, what you do, what you're creating. And we have this power to create anything, but we have to believe it. And that's the one caveat, is we have to believe it. And most people, when they use or try to use the law of attraction, they're doing it very half-heartedly, and thinking and a very well, maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. Maybe it happened, maybe it won't is not going to do the job. You gotta be all in. You gotta be committed. And what we're going to talk about today, you got to be consistent in those thoughts, those feelings, those beliefs, those actions.
Right. And so, um, what kind of role does that consistency that you're talking about, how does that play a role in the law of
Well,
attraction?
so consistency is all about, what are you consistently focusing on?
Mm,
What is
mhm,
the stream of
mhm,
thought and feeling that you're sending your subconscious mind or the universe?
mhm,
And the more consistent and dialed in and focused, consistently focused on whatever it is that you desire to achieve, the stronger it's going to strengthen your connection to, whatever it is that you want to manifest. It's going to create a strong energetic vibration to manifest your desires. And also it's about practicing whatever, there's so many manifestation techniques. I love manifestation techniques, rituals, routines, all of it. Some people will say, oh, you got to meditate for 15 minutes every day. Oh, some people will say you got to meditate and write, or some people say you got to have a vision board. Some people say you got to do your hypnosis. Some people say you got to practice the 333, the 555, the 222, all of these manifestation techniques, right? But which ones work the best? It's the ones you actually do. It's the ones you actually do consistently. And, so it doesn't matter if you do the 555 technique, but you only do it, a handful of times. You may have to do it more than 5 times. I'm just putting it out there. You might have to what if you had to do it 6 times? What if you had to do it for a whole month? Is what you desire, is it worth it?
mm,
And if it's not, if you're not willing to do the consistent work, to do something each day consistently, to retrain your thinking, to retrain how you're feeling, to get yourself into that vibe that is a match with what you want, then I'm going to say whatever it is that you're going for isn't important enough. You don't have enough passion, uh, for it. So, a lot of times I think we settle for much smaller dreams and desires than what's actually possible for us. And that's why a lot of people give up. And that's why, because well, I didn't really, it's kind of like saying, I didn't really want that anyway. But
mm.
what do you want? Because there is something that you're here and you're destined to achieve. And I think we all have a journey and a destiny and something that we desire. So maybe whatever it is that you're going for that you're not able to be consistent about, maybe you need to step it up. Maybe you need to take it to the next level and kick it up into higher gear and make it something like, wow, if I really did get this consistency going, I could do something amazing, super amazing, much more amazing than what I was thinking about before.
Well, so how does that how can that consistency really create the magic in our lives then?
Well, magic. So I love this word magic because law of attraction, manifesting, all of these things, they show these, depict this with so much magic, stars,
Mhm,
moons, crescents, all kinds of magical symbols, right? And so the way that I think of it as magic, I think that it's ultimately that it consistency over time causes you to change your subconscious mind. And so that things that weren't readily visible to you, opportunities that were always there, they were always all around you, you just didn't see them before.
mhm,
Magically, when you're consistent in your programming and you're sending the right message over and over and over and over to your subconscious mind, it kind of magically opens up new doors. It magically aligns you with more opportunities, with it causes you to feel better. It causes you to believe a different way. And it it illuminates what was always there, but you just didn't actually see it. And so it helps you to move past these obstacles, and it helps you to develop yourself. It helps you to develop new habits, new skills, all of that. It transforms you into the person who you were always meant to be, who is meant for something greater, and meant to have this desire. So to me, that is, even though it's not like what we think of as turning on, a magic show, it's kind of
Mm,
magical, because it couldn't have happened unless you transformed. And
mm.
really, if you think about magic, isn't it sort of a transformation?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And that really is the key, that it's not those people think that when you're making change, we all read the books and see the stories of these people that made this huge change overnight, sort of, like they
Mhm.
lost 100 pounds in 6 months or something. But the one, because those are the glamorous stories, the stories that aren't that sexy are the ones where somebody took 2 years to take off 100 pounds, or they changed their life over a few years, and so, but it's those consistent actions that really pay off. And really, in my work, I'm sure in yours too, you found that those are the most successful folks, are the ones that take those little steps every day.
Yeah. What you said
It's
reminds me
consistent.
of a quote by Tony Robbins, and I'm sure you're familiar with it. You probably are thinking about it right now, where he says that people overestimate what they can accomplish in 1 year,
Mhm.
but they underestimate what they can accomplish in 10 years.
That makes sense. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So, I mean, is it much better to go ahead and just focus on that 5 or 10 year goal and be successful, or keep making those, I'm going to do this in a year or in 6 months, or, and, I get these, I get these calls sometimes, hey, I'm going to a wedding, and I'm, the mother of the bride, and I've got 2 months to lose 40 pounds to get into this dress. It's like,
Yeah.
get a knife. You know? Not a surgeon, ma'am. Sorry.
Yeah,
So,
I think honestly, to answer that, I think it's better to focus on the long-term goal, the
yeah,
10-year goal, and then break that
sure.
down. Like, where do you want to be in 10 years? And then break that down to, where do you need to be in 5 years? Where do you need to
Yeah,
be in 3 years, 2 years, 1 year, 6 months, 3 months, 1 month? And then you'll find that you can break these things down into daily action steps that you can take. Like, there's literally no reason why you can't achieve anything if you just look at a longer time horizon, or a more realistic time horizon. It doesn't necessarily need to be 10 years, whatever it is. Look at a more realistic time horizon, and then break it down into miniature timelines, and then, like I said, the daily action steps, the consistent action steps, because what you do consistently is what ultimately you're becoming.
yeah, and I think people underestimate um, how awesome the kind of reward that's going to come before they get to that ultimate goal. And I'll give you an example. When I weighed almost 300 pounds, um, and when I got to the point where I could tie my shoelaces without holding my breath, I was like, wow. And I
Yeah.
wasn't even at my goal weight, but I was like, this is amazing.
It
So,
is,
yeah,
and I can vouch for that, because back in December, about mid-December, I was at an all-time high weight. Not an all-time high, it was a second to the highest I weighed. It was
yeah,
second only to an amount I weighed way back when I lived in Virginia in 2005. So, like almost 19 years ago. And so a 19-year, highest I weighed in like 18, 19 years. And
yeah.
so it's a disappointing weight that I had gotten to in December. And, you know, So I just basically just went into action. There was a part of me that was kind of buying into, and I'm just going to say, I'm going to put it out there. I'm 54. I'm a woman.
Right.
Okay. And I
We know
was
where this is going.
buying
Yeah.
into, yeah, I was
Mhm.
buying into some of the talk that people my
It's just
age,
natural, Victoria. That's just the way life is. And yeah, just
this is
accept
what
it. Yeah.
happens when you go,
Right.
oh, it's so
Those
hard to,
hormones and yeah.
yeah, and all of that. Well, so I went back to I went through all of the times that I've ever had any significant long-term success with because I've been up and down the scale my whole life.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so anytime I've ever had any long-term success, it's always been from like and this is the key to so many things. You have to be aware. You have to be aware of every calorie and macronutrient that you're putting into your body and how much you're moving. And
Mhm.
so I put myself on a 1,200 calorie a day diet, and uh, I started looking at my aura because I got this new aura ring that tracks my activity, and I have to burn, including my own metabolic rate, 2,400, and it's freaking math. Okay, it's math, people. And you may have a lower metabolic rate
Right.
because of some reason, but you need to know what that, you need to get in touch with what that is and know your number and know what the number is for you right now. It may be lower. It may be lower. Okay. So, mine's, if I could stay in bed all day and I will burn about 1,350 calories. So to get to the 2,400, the rest is up to me. I got to go for some walks. I've got to go to the gym. I've got to, and so I burn 2,400. That's my magic number, and so that's what I burn. And and my intake is 1,200, and so that creates a deficit of 1,200, and that's 8,400 a week. That's 2.5 pounds because it's 3,500 calories. It equals a pound, and like magic, um, I have lost from then to now 22 pounds. And it is an amazing feeling, and I'm not done yet. I still have
Mhm.
a little ways to go to hit my magic number. And I'm still about 13, 15 pounds from my actual goal weight, which I will be at by HypnoThoughts. I made a commitment to myself that by HypnoThoughts, actually by April 15th is when I want to hit that number. And I feel like I will.
Yeah.
But the benefit of that benefit, the benefit of the benefit of losing that weight has been just like you said, when I go up the stairs, I never noticed until it actually got easier that it was
Mhm.
feeling a little hard before. I'm like, wow, this is like I'm just gliding up the stairs. It's so much easier.
Right.
When I bend over, yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it's much easier to bend down and tie my shoes and all of that. And all of those little things. And of course, looking in the mirror, definitely like what I see and
Yeah.
all of that, so there's just all of these and what's that word? Oh, consistency has played a key role in
Yeah.
that because it's what you do consistently that makes all the difference.
So true. So absolutely spot on. I love that.
Mm.
Um, so what are some common misconceptions about the law of attraction and consistency?
Well, one of the biggest misconceptions that, I constantly hear about is like, oh, it's just about thinking positive. Just think positive. And, well, first of all, it's not possible to think positive all day long. So it's not just thinking positive. You're going to have negative thoughts. And, but it's also not just, you can't just think positive and expect things to happen. Like if I was just thinking about myself being at my goal weight, but I didn't take any action. I didn't go to the gym. I didn't cook healthy food. Then what's going to happen? If I just if I think of myself at that goal weight, but I don't actually work out, nothing's going to happen.
Right. Yeah.
And so the other misconception is that you're going to get results quickly without any consistent effort and patience. And it does take patience. It does take effort. You do have to, put in action, and you do have to be consistent. If I just worked out one time a week, not, I'm still not going to be able to, hit that goal weight. And, it's just as easy, like losing weight to me, or running a race, or doing those physical types of challenges for yourself. It's just as, the things that don't seem quite as real, quite as physical, can happen just as easily. So I think trying to do something that's a little bit more physical is a great way to learn how to practice consistency and taking action. Because when you can get control over the things that are seemingly more in your control, then you're gonna know that you can do it.
Mhm. Makes sense. And I think one of the things about we talk. It's one of the things is like maybe we're talking about weight loss, but hopefully everybody understands that that's really a metaphor for so many other things. It's just like with weight loss is such a very tangible and easy example. Could work the same if you're trying to save money.
Yeah,
For instance, if you're writing a book, it's that consistent daily action that's really going to pay off.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what are some the common obstacles that you've run across to consistency, and how can we overcome those?
Well, I think one of the biggest things is just it's just the way you talk to yourself. Like you might say, "Oh, it's too hard. It's just, oh, this is too much work." Or you might get caught up in all the distractions, the things that come up to rob you of your consistency. Maybe you feel too tired. Maybe you had a bad day at work. Maybe you had some unexpected things arise that got in your way, and you weren't really committed to the consistency. So I think you have to be really committed to the consistency, and not allow yourself to go off the hook. Because it's crucial to your success. And so you have to, but at the same time, if you do fall off the wagon, just being able to pick yourself right back up, because sometimes, you will go off. You will go
Yeah.
off track. And when you do go off track, you just got to pick yourself right back up, practice self-compassion, keep positive, stay, get refocused. What do I have to do to get really focused? And then you just got to learn to, just kind of say no to the limiting beliefs, and stay committed to the practice of overcoming your obstacles.
Yeah, and the one of the things that you said earlier, I think should people really need to just pay attention to is if you're failing in your consistency. What I heard you say before was you can scale that back, right? It doesn't have to be 10 minutes. It could be a 5-minute walk. It could be a
Mm-hmm.
two. I always tell clients it's more important that you just build that habit. So if and I remember I had this one client, and she was very heavy. She had to be at least 400 or 500 pounds, and I said, "Could you walk for just 5 minutes?" And she said, "I think I can do 2." And I was like, "Perfect."
Yeah.
And so she was on a treadmill. She did 2 minutes, and
Mm-hmm.
and within no time she was up to 7 or 8 minutes. And when you weigh 400 pounds, that's a lot of energy expenditure, right? So
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, I think that's just the key, is just keep scaling back until you find the number that you can be consistent with.
I totally agree with that. That was one of the things that, with a lot of my weight loss clients, when they were just building in the new habit. I mean, I would literally say, what was, I mean, it was the most infinitesimally, like, tell me the most infinitesimally small number that you could do, consistently on the treadmill every day.
Yeah.
And I don't care if you tell me 30 seconds. It might seem so ridiculous to go get on the treadmill for 30 seconds. And the point isn't that you're going to like lose a bunch of burn a bunch of fat in 30
Right. Yeah.
seconds. You're just not.
Right.
But you're
No.
going there, and before you know it, like you said, you're gonna end up doing a little bit more. And so whatever you can, and the same thing with the building the lists, like we were talking about in the last episode with the confidence. You know, make a list of 3 things. If making a list of 10 things seems a little too overwhelming, but make it like extremely doable. Like, make it
Yeah.
super, super doable, like, not the what you wish you could get done. It's not a
Right.
wish list. This is a to
Do list.
do list.
Right. Yes.
I wish I could do
Absolutely.
versus I will do.
Right. And it has to be a to-do list for your worst day. Like when you're having, so because you can always do a little bit more, but if you set the goal of the 1 minute, I mean, hey, you do 2 or 3 minutes, whatever. But yeah, we could spend a lot of time on that. Victoria, how can we maintain consistency in our manifestation process? Because that seems like a challenge, and I know I've fallen off the wagon a few times.
Yeah. So, kind of like what we've been talking about, starting off with those very small goals that you can set for yourself. I think it's really important to track our progress, to
Hmm.
like actually, just create a little, I mean, there's all kinds of like manifestation journals and things like that. But even, at the plainest, most common level, just, take, make a spreadsheet for yourself, make a list for yourself, and allow yourself, just to check things off, and make a little point system where, you give yourself a little point for all of the things that you get done in any given day. And, so that's one way I think, that we can stay motivated. Another thing is, just visualizing yourself actually, like when you first wake up in the morning, visualize yourself saying your affirmations, doing your visualization, doing your manifestation techniques, all of that stuff. And finally, just knowing that consistent effort and patience are crucial for maintaining consistency.
You know what? That is so, and I got to tell you, that's one of the hidden secrets I think to change is tracking.
Yeah.
Um, and I know when I first started talking about this with clients, because this is what I did. When I first started, it was, well, I went for a 5 minute walk, boom. I did 2 minutes meditation, boom, and I had a fruit or vegetable, boom. I'm done for the day. Um, you know, they think it's too simple, but I'll tell you what, you're like a little kid with the gold star, right? I mean, at the end of the week, you're going, oh, I got all the check marks. Um,
Exactly. Yeah, didn't you
it's
love
so,
to get those gold
yeah,
stars when you were a kid? Oh my God, that was
yeah.
the best.
I just got, just think about it. I got this feeling, kind of nostalgic feeling about, those gold stars. And I have a client, so funny, and she's over 40 and she's got the hormone, all the reasons why she can't lose weight, right? And she started doing the consistency, because she didn't listen to, what people say. And we talked about, she actually went to the Dollar Tree and got herself some stars. And she, every once in a while, she'll send me a picture of her calendar, and it'll have, every time she went for a walk, there's a gold star.
I
You know,
love it. I love it.
yeah.
That's one of the things with the Believe app we're going to have. You're going to be have a whole collection of all kinds of badges. There's going to be badges for listening to your session, listening to the same session, 3 times, 5 times, 10 times, 20 times, 50 times, right? You're going to get a new badge. You're going to get badges when you've listened to many different sessions. So, when you've listened to 3 different sessions, you're going to get a badge, 10 different sessions, you're going to get a badge, etc. So there's going to be all kinds of badges because, people like getting those rewards.
It helps. It really does. You get
It
that, we
does.
get that big dopamine hit.
Yes.
And so it's fantastic. Victoria, what the thing I love about this episode, I mean, all of them really, but even this episode, maybe even especially, and I think the last one too, um, is there's a lot of really tangible things in here people can do with their law of attraction practice and with any kind of change they're trying to make. So, what a valuable episode.
Yeah, thank you. It has been. And what a valuable co-host to, help help us stay in our consistent routine of doing our podcast and getting all this wonderful information out to our wonderful listeners.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And I just want to, one more thing before we go. I was just thought when you talked about this consistency, I remember working with a client who at the end of his program, he said, and this is such a huge thing. He said, I finally trust myself.
Mm.
When I say I'm going to do something, I trust myself. And it was, I mean, when you start trusting yourself, when you follow through with those things, which comes easier when you set those small achievable goals, and you're going to start feeling really great about yourself.
Absolutely. And that's one of the biggest reasons for, the consistency and and just keeping your word and keeping your agreements to yourself, the integrity of that ultimately is, it strengthens, it continues to strengthen the power of your word. And then you get to a point where your word is so strong and so solid and your word becomes like a tangible thing
Yeah.
ultimately, because every time you say, I'm going to get up at 5, I'm going to work out, I'm going to stay on my diet, I'm going to get all these things done on my checklist, I'm going to avoid coffee, I'm going to avoid alcohol, I'm going to drink 8 glasses of water, I'm going to make all these 10 calls, and you do that consistently day in, day out, it's like, I'm going to make $1 million. Yeah. Okay. That's just on the to-do list because you
Exactly.
said your word becomes a tangible thing that basically runs your life. And it also is a tangible thing that runs your life on the opposite end of the spectrum too. So if you're consistent in the things that are not getting you closer to your goals, you got to take a look at that. And
Exactly.
and turn that around, and you can turn it around. And so I just really want to thank you for being a wonderful co-host. I want to thank you, the guests, for being wonderful guests. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Power of Your Mind podcast. And I hope you found this inspiring and informative. Please share this podcast with your friends, with your family. Don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review. Tune in next week for another inspiring episode. Until then, keep using the power of your mind to reach your goals. Live your best life of abundance and joy.